The Galactic Council had made their position clear. Humans were not to be trusted with sensitive research. Too impulsive, they said. Too emotional. Too unpredictable. Dr. Orla Chen didn't care what they thought. She stood in the dimmed laboratory aboard the Celestial Harmony, her eyes fixed on the holographic data streams that painted the air in shades of blue and amber. The station's night cycle had begun hours ago, but sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not when the quantum resonance patterns were finally beginning to stabilize. "You should rest," came a voice from the doorway. Benjamin Torres leaned against the frame, his dark hair disheveled, a steaming cup in each hand. "You've been at this for 36 hours straight." 34, Orla corrected, accepting the coffee without looking away from her work. "And I'm close, Ben, I can feel it." Benjamin shook his head with a fond smile. He'd worked alongside Orla for 3 years now, long enough to know that when she got this focused, nothing short of a hull breach would pull her away. That was the thing about humans. They had this peculiar ability to push past their biological limits when something mattered enough. The project they were working on mattered immensely. A plague had swept through the Vexillian colonies, affecting their young in ways their medicine couldn't comprehend. The Vexillians, a proud, feline-like species with iridescent fur and six-fingered hands, had exhausted every resource in their considerable medical database. In desperation, they'd turned to the Council, who had reluctantly assigned the problem to the Celestial Harmony's research division to the humans. Orla had taken one look at the dying cubs in the medical hollows and made a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. She would find an answer. The enzymatic breakdown isn't following standard protocols, she muttered, manipulating the data with practiced gestures. Their cellular structure responds to quantum states differently than any species we've documented. It's like they're partially existing in multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. Which should be impossible, Benjamin added, moving to stand beside her. Exactly. Orla's eyes lit up with that particular fire Benjamin had come to associate with her breakthrough moments. Which means we've been approaching this wrong. We can't treat this like a conventional pathogen because it isn't one. It's a dimensional displacement syndrome. You're saying the cubs are being pulled out of phase with reality? In a manner of speaking, yes. Her fingers flew across the interface, pulling up new calculations. And if I'm right, the cure isn't a medicine. It's a harmonic resonance pattern that can anchor their quantum signature back to baseline reality. Benjamin whistled low. The Council's going to lose their minds. This is theoretical physics territory, not medicine. The Council can take their jurisdictional boundaries and... Orla stopped herself, taking a deep breath. We need to test this, now. Orla, it's the middle of the night cycle. The Vexillian delegates won't... A soft chittering sound interrupted him. Both humans turned to find 3 Vexillian cubs standing in the doorway, their large luminescent eyes reflecting the lab's glow. They looked thin, weak, their fur patchy where the syndrome had begun to affect them. What are they doing here? Benjamin whispered. The smallest cub, barely larger than a human infant, took a hesitant step forward. It made a sound that the universal translator rendered as, safe here. Smells safe. Orla's expression softened in a way that would have shocked the Council members who called humans cold and calculating. She lowered herself to the cub's level, extending a hand slowly. You're supposed to be in the medical bay, little ones. Scared, another cub said. Machines loud. Smell like ending. Benjamin felt his throat tighten. The medical bay, with all its sterile efficiency, probably did smell like death to creatures with such sensitive senses. And here in Orla's lab, surrounded by the scent of coffee and the gentle hum of research equipment and a human who had barely slept in her determination to save them, here smelled like hope. Ben, Orla said quietly, get me the harmonic modulator. The portable one. You're not seriously going to, if they're here and if my theory is correct, then we can calibrate the frequency using their real-time quantum signatures. She kept her voice steady, non-threatening as the cubs crept closer. We'll need their trust, though. Their cooperation. The cubs seemed to understand even as the translator struggled with the technical concepts. The smallest one approached Orla and, with surprising trust, climbed into her lap. What followed was a night unlike any other aboard the Celestial Harmony. Orla worked with infinite patience, adjusting frequencies and monitoring responses while the cubs dozed beneath her desk. Their small bodies curled against her feet. Benjamin assisted, bringing equipment, recording data, and occasionally ensuring Orla remembered to eat something. It was messy. It was unorthodox. It violated at least 14 council protocols about subject interaction and research boundaries. It was also brilliantly, undeniably effective. By the time the station's morning cycle began, Orla had mapped the exact harmonic frequency needed to stabilize Vexillian quantum signatures. The cubs beneath her desk were sleeping more soundly than they had in weeks, their fur already beginning to show signs of healthy restoration. When the Vexillian delegates arrived, summoned by the automated alerts Benjamin had finally sent, they found Dr. Chen asleep at her workstation, her head pillowed on her arms, data streams still scrolling above her. 3 cubs slept peacefully beneath her desk, and Benjamin sat nearby, guarding them all with exhausted vigilance. The chief delegate, Ambassador Veltha, stood in the doorway with tears in her luminous eyes. "You found it," she whispered. "The cure," Benjamin nodded. "She did. Worked through the night. The cubs, they helped in their way." Velthus approached slowly, reverently, taking in the scene. This human, whom the council had deemed too emotional, too reckless, had done what their greatest minds could not. And she'd done it not despite her humanity, but because of it, because she'd chosen compassion over protocol, instinct over regulation, and a mother's desperate hope over a bureaucrat's careful distance. "The council will want a full report," Velta said softly. Benjamin's smile was tired but triumphant. "Then tell them this: the human spent the night in the lab. The cubs slept beneath her desk. And by morning she'd saved an entire species. And really, he thought, watching Orla sleep with the peaceful cubs at her feet, what more did anyone need to know about humanity?